This Choircast podcast episode is brought to you by This Is Not Church podcast and the letter F.
And you. If you've made it this far, my name is Nat Turney. My brother John Turney and I co-host This Is Not Church, the podcast. And this is sadly the level of discourse that you can expect to find if you tune in every Monday when we drop new episodes. But all joking aside, John and I see this as an opportunity for us to address issues that we don't think are addressed nearly enough inside of evangelicalism. So LGBTQIA plus issues, BIPOC issues, social justice issues. We like to talk to a broad variety and range of people and really try to find places of commonality for everybody. So check out the podcast. Every Monday, our episodes drop. Wherever you stream podcasts, you can find us. Remember, this is not church. And to that, John says, peace.
The mind that was in Jesus, that mind is in me.
Without me, life has no meaning.
Why would God tell you what I'm thinking and tell you what I've said to my wife or my husband when you're not around? It's because I'm the pastor of the church and I need to know.
This is the only place where you can see truth.
Hey heathens, welcome to the Deadly Faith podcast where religion and crime collide. I'm Lola.
And I'm Laci.
And this shit is kinky and gross.
And everything in between.
It's so gross. That's all I could think the whole time researching this. I just thought, gagging noises.
This is the case. This is a case that's been on my list because, like you guys know, I started with YouTube videos. And this case has been on my list for a really long time, but it's so that I didn't want to cover it. But I also, my husband watches and listens to every episode, and he does not like cases that involve children. No. So I always have to give trigger warnings. And I told him, I was like, there's going to be one case where I'm going to start it and be like, hey, babe, this is not the one for you. Just move on. That's that case. That's this case, babe. So like, maybe you don't want to listen to this one. And I know I'm laughing, but I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable.
You're doing the Bailey Sarian thing again. Bailey Sarian, please come on the pod.
Right.
Because we'll just all laugh when we're really uncomfortable. But It's a very intense and a very old story.
Yes.
Because it happened back in like 1800s, early 1900s kind of thing.
That's wild to me that it happened that long ago.
Wait, no. It was just 1800s. I said that wrong. Technically, yes, it does go into early 1920s. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, because it is a fucking long span of time for this.
Yes. I mean, disclaimer too, for anybody that doesn't want to listen, this includes child abuse, torture, murder, sexual assault, and cannibalism. So jot that down. Just kidding. I already did it for you. So
take a note. Take good care of yourself. If those are too triggering, just come back for another episode. We don't
pick
mind.
another episode. It's fine.
Yeah, any episode.
Also, this is my first time presenting a true crime case. I normally do the what the fuck stories on mess and spirituality. So this, y'all be nice.
Be gentle and be easy on Lola as she presents this. And she's going along this journey and learning and presenting, and I'm excited to hear this case.
I'll come up with my own flow. Like everybody has their own flow for presenting true crime stuff. Well, presenting any kind of storytelling.
So before we jump into the case though, let's do a little like recap of our weeks. I had a pretty good week. Really fun.
Laci, tell me about your day, because you sent me a really nice photo this morning of your freshly bleached roots. They were so white. And then the rest of her hair was just
purple,
teamed with little blue, purple pigment. It was very cute. It was a Billie Eilish look.
Yeah, and I got compliments on it because I did have to go out in public. So I touched up my roots.
It did look purposeful.
I tried. So I had to touch up my roots. And for some reason, and I don't know why my hair does this, and Lola's a hairdresser, and she was still like, I don't know why your hair does that. But when I bleach my roots, I have to do it twice in order for the purple to take and you not see like a strict line, like a very harsh line in between.
Like the line of demarcation.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, because her hair is naturally like a 7 or an 8. No, not an 8. 7 or a 6. So normally that would lift pretty easily under 30 volume. So she's saying she hits it twice with 30 volume. So I'm like, how is it alive? How did it not die?
The first time I do it, I'd probably leave it on for like 30, 40 minutes, just like as long as I can handle it.
Yeah, that's like the full processing time.
Right. And I check it and I make sure. And then when I go back the second time, I only leave it on for like 10 minutes or so. And sometimes if I have it, I'll just do like 20 volume, or I'll dilute it like a little bit more with more developer, less bleach or whatever. But yeah, I always have to do it a second time. And I ran out of developer. And so I had to go to Sally's. And so I had to go out like that in public. And then when I came home, I was like about to go into my bathroom and start my whole hair dyeing when we had some major drama with our neighbors and the little girl. I know I don't want to go into like detail. Those are other people's private lives. But it basically what I can say is the police were called and 3 cops showed up to my house, and I had to advocate for this poor child. And it was just a fucking wild day. And the whole time these cops are in my house, I have half bleached, half purple, faded hair. And I'm like, oh my God, they probably think I've had a manic episode.
Yeah, probably. But
it happens.
You were probably being the most rational out of everybody there.
I think I was one of the most rational people.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for the cops. They were like, am I really being called out for this? And I'm like, apparently you are. And I'm sorry.
We pay you to do this shit. My taxes pay for this service.
I'm thinking they've got to go and write all of this paperwork.
I know.
Craziness, but
I'm glad for the documentation, but it feels like half of it is a little bit useless. Yeah. Just a little bit. I don't know. What do I know? I'm not in law enforcement. I
know, right? Yeah. I don't know. Well,
this is an idealistic view.
Yeah. That was my day. So Lola, how are you? What's your plans?
I got...
coming up this weekend?
Oh, yes. I got tickets to go to a Renaissance fair in Tennessee at the castle where Taylor Swift filmed Love Story music video. I have always wanted to go there. I'm a Swiftie hardcore. I'll die for the woman.
And I am not a Swiftie.
That's okay.
The main reason I'm not a Swiftie is like I do not know very popular music because I grew up listening to only Christian music. Like as I got older, like when I was listening to secular music, it's like I know like Colt 45 and don't copyright, so I can't keep going. But like that's that's the kind of like music I know from back in the day. And then it was like Oceans, you know, like lead me where I can't even remember the lyrics now.
Not the Hill song.
Oh, the Hill song stuff. So I don't know a whole lot of like modern day music, and I don't listen to music in my downtime. I listen to podcasts because I'm true crime obsessed, and it's a problem. And like my husband's worried about me.
No, listen. My boyfriend is very worried about me. Every time, if I listen to a case that's a little bit close to home or sounds something like my former marriage or something, I get a little bit shaken sometimes, and I'll stay up late. And if I stay up past my bedtime, he knows something's up. Something's up.
You're like, maybe it's a little too much, but
he'll be like, go watch some Bob's Burgers or something, you know.
And ours is Big Bang Theory.
That's so good.
That I love me some Sheldon.
Hello, Leonard. Do you like my bongos?
My favorite.
Underrated episode. I love that one.
Very underrated episode. Totally. So the only Taylor Swift story I have is like by proxy. So I have a friend-ish, like acquaintance. We've known each other in high school. She was in the grade above me. And she, is probably the biggest Swiftie I've ever met or seen in my life. Like, so big a Swiftie.
Swift forward.
To the point where like Taylor Swift knows her by name. And no, not kidding. And like years ago, this was probably 5 or 6 years ago, Taylor Swift did a private debut of her like upcoming album and like played it for just like her closest fans and like paid for them to come out and like come to this house and like have it. She was part of that. She got to be, yes. And she,
so cool.
Yeah, she's. I'll have to find her. She knows if she's ever listens to this. She knows who I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Caddy. So shout out, Caddy, if you ever watch this.
Oh, I'm so jealous of you. Yeah, what's it like to be living my dream?
It's so funny. So funny. All right. Well, we've wasted 10 minutes of your time.
Should we get into
filling
it?
you in on all of our shenanigans. So yeah, let's get into it. This case is a very long one. It goes over a long period of time. I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years ago that I heard about this case for the very first time, but it's been that long. So there's a lot of it that I don't remember. This is only going to be a part one. Like we're not going to do 2 episodes or anything like that.
I'm not skilled enough to do that yet.
Yeah, we'll get into those later on. But if you guys want more information on this dipfuck that is Albert Fish, there is a 4-part series that we will link in our show notes that's done by Morbid that Elena did. And oh my gosh, very detailed if you want to go down that rabbit hole and have nightmares. But,
Great.
We'll put that in there for you guys. But anyway, without further ado, Lola.
Let the nightmare begin.
Take us on this journey of Albert the Fish.
Albert, that's what it seems like, Albert the Fish.
Right.
Okay, so obviously most true crime listeners in the U.S., know about this story with Mr. Fish. He's a very well-known serial killer, rapist, torture fiend, cannibal. Hamilton Howard Fish was born in May of 1870. He was the youngest kid in a family from Washington, D.C. He hated his name, firstly. Hamilton.
Oh, is that why he changed it?
So he was nicknamed by some kids in grade school Ham and Eggs. So he hated his name because he was just teased all the time for it. So he actually took his dead brother's name.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
I didn't know that. I had never heard that before.
I totally forgot that. What made kids choose Ham and Eggs to be his nickname?
I guess Hamilton is where they got it from.
Yeah, okay. So there's not a major backstory to it.
I couldn't find anything. I did try to look into more about his childhood, but it's such an old story. And because it happened when documentation of people's lives was not like social media now where you can track it so easily. So I couldn't find much more on it, just besides they called him Ham and Eggs. I don't know where the eggs comes from, but whatever. I guess it was just insult to injury at that point.
Yeah. Kids being bullies.
But yeah, he ended up changing his name to Albert, which was his dead brother's name.
Red flag number 1.
Red flag.
Yeah. We're coming off to a great start here.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to do that if my sibling, even if I never knew them, it would just be that's their name. I can't.
That's weird.
I can't separate it for me.
I couldn't even do it if it was a dead friend. And that's still weird. My own brother? No. Mm-mm.
No. I mean, and he changed his name when he was in his teens. So he wasn't able to for a while. So you have to imagine through what would be elementary and middle school ages, he's constantly bullied and called this. And it's just endless kind of, kids are just mean. They've always been kind of mean when it comes to, social settings and in public school, that is.
Right.
He had parents. Wow. Jot that down. He had parents.
He was born into this world.
He had parents, and they were 43 years difference in age. So
no.
I think it's about 43. I mean, it was the largest age gap I've ever been aware of with a married couple.
Dang. That's wow.
Yeah. So his dad was 70 when he was born. Something like that. And then his dad, when he was 75, died. So Albert was only about 5 or 6 years old when his father passed. So he just stayed with his mom.
So he probably has no memories of his dad. Or if he does, or if he did, very little.
Not many. So his mom, backstory. So apparently mental illness runs in his family. His uncle was diagnosed with mania. One of his brothers was sent to a state mental institution, which this could have been for something that wasn't exactly mental health related because, they'll send you there for being gay or talking back or not getting a job.
Especially 1870s.
Yes. So one of his sisters was diagnosed with mental affliction. Mm-hmm. Not certain what that means. It could have been moody teenager that they decided to.
Yeah, because I don't know when the lobotomy days were, but women would get sent to get a lobotomy for acting up and their parents feeling like something was wrong with them because they were having some attitude or whatever and weren't living the like standards of like femininity. And so they would literally take them to get a hot poker shoved in their brain.
Lobotomized. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got lobotomized at a Toyota-thon. So mental affliction, whatever that means. His mother also was known to have visual hallucinations, and she kind of went off the rails whenever her spouse died, you know, like as any of us probably would. They'd probably been together for a while. So, you know, she was off the rails in mourning and allegedly, you know, unstable before that because of the whole, you know, visual hallucinations. It is unconfirmed. She was never diagnosed with anything necessarily. She just was well known for, I think, being maybe the crazy lady or something. Which I hate that.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if she really did have a mental illness and husband died, if it's what's the word I'm looking for? Triggered a manic episode.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that's very possible too. I wish I had more information on her. I just know that 3 other relatives that were on her side of the family did have mental illnesses. I don't know if these were like confirmed diagnoses or anything, but it was reported by several sources that 3 others in their family had mental illness.
Gotcha. Okay.
So she went off the rails. Okay. She's not doing well. So she put all of her kids in an orphanage called St. John's Orphanage. There are some reports that just say that Albert was sent and nobody else was, but I don't really believe that. I think they were all sent there because I think she didn't have a job. She couldn't take care of them, couldn't take care of herself kind of thing. So I really think she sent all of them.
Was Albert the youngest?
Yes, he was.
Okay, because I'm wondering, because I had heard that too, that like he was the only one sent. So I'm wondering if he was so little, it was too hard to take care of him. So if she did just send him, because the other ones were more self-sufficient. And so she was like...
Yeah, that could be true.
Either way, he's abandoned.
Either way, yeah, he's sent away to an orphanage. So kind of a little bit of a backstory on orphanages. So obviously in the 1800s, orphanages weren't great. They were mostly ran by the Roman Catholic churches.
Mm-hmm.
He was sent to an orphanage called St. John's Orphanage. I did try to research this. I can't come up with much. I kept getting St. Joseph's, which was not part of this at all. So normally the orphanages were not well funded. They were abusive, poor living conditions, not much food to go around, and very overpopulated because this was not just for orphans or just for like foster kids or anything like that. Apparently, because, you know, America was such a socially underdeveloped. So like, obviously you're going to seek out social structure from things that already kind of have it, like the church. So it kind of tracks where, you know, the church is able to kind of come in and pop up all of these orphanages with the money that comes into churches anyway.
Yeah.
And they're able to kind of set the norms for punishing kids and for leading them in the right way and determining a lot of social structures, such as purity culture that we have now, such as like dress codes and things of that nature, and the way that a woman should act versus a man and stuff like that.
And just so everybody knows, when she said like the right way, she was air quoting that. So
I was so hard air quoting,
quote unquote, right way.
Yes. No. Technically, it's all the wrong things that you could do to a child, they did.
Yeah, how to damage a child 101. Let's go. Like, we could do an entire episode on the Roman Catholic, like orphanages, and which there's a case that I'm going to be sharing. It's not going to be the next. It'll be about a month from now that I talk about Catholic orphanages or boys' homes, and it's fucking awful. It's fucking awful.
I mean, really, all the things that they were subjected to is just... some of these people that ran these places were parents, and you're supposed to have an unconditional love for your children. And therefore it kind of bleeds over into other children. Like, it makes your heart grow in some ways, I think.
Like, how did they really believe that this is the way that you raise a child? Like, this is what's going to make the child a better person. And it's not going to.
I mean, they treat you like the way that some people would treat their dogs. I would never treat my dogs this way. And I know you wouldn't, where it's the whole like negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement thing.
Yeah.
And it's not really giving realistic consequences for a human that has to function in the real world.
Yeah, it's growing up living by fear instead of like well-rounded.
Critical thinking and
structure and anyways.
We love that. We love that. Just kidding. I hate that for little owl, little fish, you know?
Little fish.
Yeah, this place was terrible to him. Pretty much, Albert said that he was beaten by not only kids in the orphanage, but by the people that were supposed to protect him and care for him, which were the nuns. So no one would step in to help him. And oftentimes in this specific orphanage, probably a bunch of others too, but they would strip the kids down naked in front of the rest of the kids and beat them. And it would be like a humiliation kind of thing so that they wouldn't repeat whatever behavior they had done previously to deserve, air quote, deserve the punishment. So,
my gosh, I don't remember that on this case. That is traumatizing to a whole new level. Like,
it's just gross. It's just straight up gross. Like, it makes me think that there was a sexualization of kids by those nuns and by those people that ran the place. I mean, there were reports. I read a couple of articles on different orphanages in the 1800s, and a lot of them reported rapes and murders by the hands of nuns and other leaders. So,
I don't know with it being this far back, like it being ran by nuns. I can't speak on like my knowledge of the sexual abuse.
That's what he said. He said nuns in his like testimony about it or something.
Oh, man.
Yeah. There's a direct quote from him actually that I have. There's not many quotes from this, but I have some. So when asked about the orphanage, Fish remarked, "I was there till I was nearly 9, and that's where I got started wrong. We were unmercifully whipped. I saw boys doing many things they should not have done."
Ugh.
I think the kids might have been raping each other.
Ew.
I think they learned it from the adults and thought it was normal. This is just my thought. I did not read this anywhere.
Right.
So, but
that's an opinion. But
I mean, they lead by example. You know, that's not only like, that's not something you just say in Christian circles and stuff. Like, literally, they're like little sponges. And when they watch something and they think, oh, this is normal, this happens all the time, and everyone says it's okay, so this is the thing to do. So,
yeah,
it just rewires them, unfortunately.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Well, you know, Albert kept getting the beatings, but he kind of flipped the script a little bit on the whole thing. Because, okay, he was there until he was like 9 or 10. This is the part where around that age, you start to explore your sexuality a little bit. Or at least
get woken up to the knowledge of it.
You're exploring pleasure mostly and like sensations versus an actual like sexual awakening.
Yeah.
Some people are teetering on the edge of puberty then, but not really all the way there.
But if he was already exposed to sexual acts due to being abused, then that could have awoken even sooner in him.
Yes, it could have propelled him forward into the sexuality and awakening stuff. So he kind of flipped the script on the pain to tolerate it, you know, and eventually the beatings from nuns and children made him climax. And he tricked himself into liking the pain.
I just have no words. Because I think of, okay, he said he was there till 9. So let's say, like, let's even give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he was there till 10. Most 10-year-olds aren't climaxing.
No. Yeah.
So that makes me think that there had to have been abuse, sexual abuse of that nature prior to that, because what 10-year-old is able to make themselves take that and turn it into sexual gratification?
For sure. I thought that was also odd. And like, did that also, in a sense, make more beatings happen? Like, was it, my thought is logistically or like realistically in that moment when you're getting beaten, were you climaxing right there in front of everybody, naked, being humiliated in front of everybody? Because they stripped her naked. So it makes me wonder, like, did it happen right there? And then were there repercussions for that? So like it happened again and again?
Oh my gosh.
It's a valid question.
It's a valid question. And it wouldn't shock me if that was the case.
And I don't mean to, as bad of a person as Albert Fish was, I don't mean to humiliate the child that he was.
Of course.
In this way. I want to go ahead and say he deserved respect and he deserved to not be exposed to such horrendous things, especially at such a young age.
We can always sympathize for the child version of these monstrous people because they were very innocent. And we can understand psychologically how being a part of this kind of trauma can lead to Albert Fish becoming Albert Fish and who he is known for. But it doesn't mean that we can't hate him for what he did as an adult and in his growing up years, but also sympathizing for what he had to go through. Like two things, you can hold two things at one time. Two things can be true at the same time.
Two truths for sure. They're both hard to hold, but if for sure, I give respect and grace to his child self.
Yes.
But he did some more gross things. He did some more bad things.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to say bad things, but just they weren't so great. So he began self-harming. He would swallow needles. He would burn himself. Pretty much anything to inflict pain on himself. And at the same time, he was also reading a lot about criminals and, true crime.
Yeah.
Be careful, guys.
And is this while he's still in the...
This is while he's, as far as I know, this is while he's still in there.
God, that's young.
It's also reported that he still kept gaining interest in true crime and serial killers and stuff like that. Like when he came back to his mother, whenever she finally
pulled herself together.
Because he was starting to, I don't know, it just began to heighten the, I guess, curiosities of inflicting pain on other humans, not just yourself kind of thing. So
he was escalating.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the time he's around 10, his mom gets to a better place and starts working for a government agency. She's got a stable job. She's rolling, she's grinding, doing all the things, and goes and gets her kids back.
She really pulled herself together.
She really did. I mean, she put in the work. She wanted her kids back. So this also makes me think that I don't think he was the only one sent. I just feel like she knew this is rock bottom for me. I got to figure this out so I can get everybody back. I feel like there was a lot of motivation there. So when he came home, though, he was wetting the bed and he was still self-harming. And then there was this other thing that happened where, oh God.
I have no idea what you're about to say.
There are certain terms for this that I don't remember what they're called, but he...
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm just laughing at how uncomfortable you are right now.
Like this is how, listen, on Messy Spirituality, if I say the word masturbation, Jason cringes so hard. Like he leaves the screen, like he cannot deal with it. So this is my equivalent to that.
Okay, this is your cringe.
Oh my God. Because I was definitely not aware of this until I looked into it. So when he was like 10, 11, 12, he was in his first romantic relationship, allegedly, with a boy. And they would, oh God, I'm fine. I can get through this, guys. They would drink their own and each other's urine.
No, they would not.
And eat their own and each other's feces.
No.
I'm throwing up. Do you see why I said this is gross? This is gross.
The way my butthole cringed. Like there is, I'm not
Her
even joking.
Butthole puckers. It's not.
I had a dog. Okay, I'm going off topic. Give me 2 seconds. We had a dog when we lived in Idaho. He's beautiful. Love him. Ronan. He's with another family right now that keeps us updated on him because he's adorable and sweet. But that dog, poor thing, he was a stray when we rescued him.
Mm-hmm.
He would eat his own shit.
Listen.
And it was the grossest thing. And we were like, dude, we did everything. We like bought all the chews to try to like make his shit taste bad. So he was just like gobbling it up. And I'm like, buddy, we buy you all the snacks and all the food. Stop eating your shit.
We buy you all the snacks. Please don't.
Like, you are well fed. Oh God, that is disgusting.
No, there are technical terms for it that it was called in some like research paper I was reading on this. But yeah, pretty much it just means they ate and drank their own and each other's urine and feces. So
why?
In some ways, Albert, you are what you eat, okay?
That, you know what? I would agree with that one. Whose idea was this? Like, what conversation are these kids having?
I was also wondering, how did it get to that point? Like, how do you begin that? Do you crave it? Is there like a vitamin deficiency? Is there something weird happening? I don't know.
I don't know
much more about it besides that. I didn't want to look into it, to be honest. I didn't want to look into it.
I don't, and I do, and it's morbid curiosity.
I can hear you typing.
I literally have to, because I'm curious and like what that's called. Because you're like, there's a technical name. I'm like, I have to know. What is it called when you want to eat?
What is it called when you drink your own urine? Or when you eat your own?
Coprophobia?
Coprophobia?
I'm horrible at pronunciation.
That's fine.
Entomophobia. Oh my gosh, everybody's listening to this and they're like, that is not how you say that.
They're hurting.
Entomophagia or I can't speak. But it's the ingestion of feces considered to be a variant of pica.
Not a fan. Should I tell you what else he did? Because
oh God, we're just getting started. Okay, keep going.
I want to not talk about that anymore. So gross.
Yep, let's keep going. Moving on.
Okay, dental health. So his other hobbies this is when he was a little bit older in his teenage years. Other hobbies included visiting public pools and watching naked people or like mostly naked boys. Like bathe and that kind of thing. And he said that he loved the sounds of boys bathing. Boys specifically is my question. Like, doesn't it all sound the same? I don't know.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
And I also like how you just went on to like his other hobbies, like eating shit and drinking piss is a hobby.
You know, it's that. I mean, it's a conglomerate. He's a creative person. I'll give him that.
He did add that to his resume.
Yeah. So, all right, moving forward a little bit past that, he also began to answer classified ads in the paper for women that were seeking marriage proposals. So apparently this used to be a thing where like, women would be like, it's like eHarmony, but through the newspaper.
Yeah. Which, if you think about it, the 1800s, women still definitely could not vote. And couldn't own credit cards, or I don't even know if credit cards existed back then. They couldn't have a bank account, couldn't have any of that, couldn't own land, I'm pretty sure. So like they can survive only by having a suitor.
Credit cards weren't a thing until the 80s, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I'm not even joking. I think I read that somewhere.
That's wild. I did not know that.
Can't confirm right now.
Don't hold us on that.
I feel like that was it. So
yeah, I can understand. They could only survive by having a suitor. So they're like, marry me. So that makes sense.
You got to use the men. You got to, girl. I mean, they hold you down. So
yeah, that's all you got.
Yeah. So he started answering these classified ads, but he wasn't seriously doing it. He was writing like vulgar sexual letters to the women. Like it was sexual harassment via the mail, snail mail harassment. Like,
oh my gosh.
He got off on writing letters. He loved writing letters.
He is the founder of like the unsolicited dick pic. But his is through unsolicited porno letters. Vulgar letters.
Yeah. So none of the letters were answered, in case you were wondering. No one ever wrote back and said, yeah, you're the guy for me.
Right.
But later on, he did admit that he had like a compulsion about writing and sending the obscene letters. And this is like a trend throughout his whole life. So it started when he was a teenager, but I mean, up until the time he died, this is what he did. This was his thing.
Writing letters.
I can't get out of my head the unsolicited dick pic. Like, this is the origin story of that. Great.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I just can't imagine.
I want to know what some of the letters said. I'm curious.
And I would pay anything to be a fly on the wall. Actually, a fly on the mailbox when that girl goes out to her mailbox and opens it up and starts reading that. Like, we're talking end of the 1800s, purity beyond purity standards. And this woman is reading this. Like, I would pay to see that reaction. Come on.
I know. I agree. No, I'd love to see him write to the nuns or something at his
oh God.
I wonder if he ever thought about doing that. Like or like trolling them or something.
His abusers. I wouldn't have put it past him.
I wonder too if he even thought that they were abusers. I mean, he knew the things they did were wrong, but like sometimes it's hard to think of someone as an abuser when they were a caretaker. Also.
Well, especially when he turned it into like gratification. So he's probably more thankful.
Yes, that too. How do you separate that?
They awakened this weird thing I love. Ugh.
Okay, so in his 20s, he actually starts doing sex work at bathhouses. I don't understand what a bathhouse is. It sounds like you just bathe, like public bathing? Is that
yes.
it? Okay.
I think so because there was no running water back then. And so they would have bathhouses, I think, for people to pay to come and bathe.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure you only bathe like once a week, if that.
Oh, God.
That was pretty common.
I literally can't function if I don't shower my body nightly.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's my husband. My husband's very much like every night.
I cannot deal with it.
Yeah.
Like my pits. I can't deal with it.
I'm like every other night, shower. But if I'm like out in the garden or like especially summertime, every night, at least showering my body. My hair, it goes like 4 or 5 days.
No, my hair, Fridays are my wash days.
There you go.
Today's the day.
Tonight's
the night,
day, people.
Yeah. So
he does sex work. Okay.
Yeah, he starts pursuing a job with, sex work at bathhouses. He does that well into his 20s, and then he moves to New York and he continues this sex work. Okay, this part that I'm about to tell you about this New York thing.
Uh-huh.
What?
Where did he live before New York?
Just in Washington, D.C.
Washington. Okay, Washington, D.C. I couldn't remember what you said.
Yeah, where he grew up. I didn't see any other thing where he had moved away from that area, so I'm assuming.
Gotcha. Okay, so he goes to New York.
Okay, so he goes to New York and he meets a steamer captain named John Davis. This is in 1894, so he's like 24, and he has this new friend. I think new friend means sexual partner.
Yeah. I could see that.
From the way it seemed like it was alluding to a sexual kind of relationship.
Gotcha.
With this steam captain. So, so steamy. So this captain was bragging to Albert that he had an acquired taste for human flesh. So apparently he was a captain of a ship that delivered meat to China during a famine or something. And in that time, apparently, the captain admitted to kidnapping and killing children for the meat. And he was able to, I guess, get away with keeping the meat with him because it was a meat ship.
Ew.
Yeah. So, and he talked about it was normal. It's like me telling you oh, today I just, I worked, I got a new keyboard. I ate some yogurt earlier.
I am going to just tell myself that man was a compulsive liar.
I think that he was lying too. It just...
Yeah, you do?
I think so, but also he said something that was a little bit
Oh, no.
Okay, he told him the best part. Oh, my God.
Oh, God, no. Oh.
The best part of a person.
Let me guess.
Okay, yeah, guess.
Because I really don't remember this. I'm going to guess butt.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, why did I know?
Yeah. Apparently, it's the most tender.
What? I don't believe that would be the most tender.
That doesn't seem right to me either. I feel like the stomach would.
It's literally a huge ass muscle.
I feel like the stomach or the arms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I don't want to know. I don't want to know. So anyway, so he talks about this and he says it's so good, it's so sweet, like all the things that cannibals describe about human flesh.
No.
So Albert starts getting books on cannibalism, and then also, he has this whole love of like serial killers and stuff. So he's constantly like consuming more content on cannibalism and serial killers, how to kill somebody, stuff like that. So this is a match made in hell kind of thing.
Right. This is what I don't understand. And I've heard many other content creators say this who do true crime, is like when they cover cases where it's two awful people finding each other. It's like, how
the universe conspires for such shameful acts to happen, I guess.
Mm-mm.
I'm not sure, and I don't know what happened to the steamer captain. Maybe it was just like a fling or something, because I didn't see anything else about this, because his mom actually gets worried about him. And she's like, you're getting older. You need to marry somebody. So she like does like a little matchmaker thing. It's kind of cute. Like I think she really did care about him. I don't know what kind of mother she was, but I think she wanted him to have a good life and like have a family and live the American dream in some ways. So she hooks him up with some girl named Anna Chapman. And so Albert and Anna, they start a life. He goes and gets a job just as like a house painter. They have 6 kids. He is just settled down now. It's great. Like, they're doing the thing.
They popped out 6. Dang.
And he's self-employed. He's got his house painting business and stuff. And
I really don't like that, because my husband owns his own painting business. And so I hate that we have something common with him.
Shush
like,
your
I don't
mouth.
like that.
No.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I know.
Well, we won't think like that.
Yeah.
You only have a couple of kids. You don't have this many. It's fine.
Yep.
It's not the same. Eventually, because he owns his own business, he commits tax fraud.
Oh, well.
And he goes to prison.
Oh, he actually went to prison for it.
Yeah. I mean.
Dang.
Or he went to jail or prison or something. But yeah, he goes to prison, and then he ends up getting out. And then the next 6 to 7 years begins to sexually assault young children.
Oh my gosh. What? Like, so do we know if he sexually assaulted children prior to this?
There's no record of that.
No record of that.
To
so it
my
started after
knowledge,
this.
Yeah. What I've come to know at this point in time is that none of that happened. Like, no, he did not hurt other people until this point in time. So like, he goes, I don't know what happened in prison. I have a feeling that he was maybe sexually assaulted in prison, and it triggered something in him where maybe all of those, maybe like all that trauma from when he was a kid suddenly started to resurface. Like, he'd been able to dull it and disassociate by settling down with Anna, having his own kids to focus on, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think something might have snapped in him a little bit when he went to prison.
Did Anna stay with him while he was in prison?
I have more.
Okay. I'm jumping the gun.
Okay, so when he's assaulting these young children, he keeps moving on to other people, but he moves to more vulnerable demographics, not just kids. So like minorities, people with mental disabilities, people of color, people that are poor, like homeless people and prostitutes and what have you. Being self-employed allowed him to get away with a lot of this and to target these demographics because he could choose what area he was going to work in,
Yeah.
So that sucks. That's not a tax write-off. Don't do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
this is when he really gets into his, sexual sadism period of time. This is not BDSM. Let me go ahead and say this. Yeah. This is non-consensual. This is torture rape. This is not like one of those consensual type of like acting out a rape or something like that. It's nothing consensual. He admitted that in 1910 was his first sadistic rape. So let me think. He would have been...
Because he's 30...
He would have been almost
40.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It was a 19-year-old male. His name was Thomas. He lured Thomas to a farmhouse and tortured him for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 full weeks. And then he cut off half of Thomas's penis. He poured peroxide onto it, left him $10, and kissed him goodbye.
No, the fuck he did not.
And walked away.
No.
I mean, I don't...
Did we ever find out about... Did you say his name was Thomas?
Yes.
Like, do we ever find out how he did or like survived or whatever? Like anything?
I'm pretty sure that Thomas actually did report it and he like described the person. I don't think that he had his name though. I don't think that he came up with all sorts of like fake names in like the period of time of which he was hurting people. So like it's very possible he just gave a fake name. And so maybe Thomas reported it was this guy, but that person doesn't exist kind of thing.
He literally cut off his penis.
He cut half of it off. And it's like poured peroxide on it. So it's like, well, thanks for that. But like, what? And where is half the penis? Where is the half? Did you eat it? What happened?
Oh, no.
What did you shove it up your butthole? I need to know. Where is it?
Oh, God. He probably did.
He gave him $10 too. That's a lot of cash. Why? That's a lot.
Oh, right. That was in 1910, right?
1910. Do you know the conversion for that? We did the conversion last time too.
We did.
For like millions of dollars.
Okay,
I feel like it'd be like $50. Am I right?
I am betting $10 in 1910. Holy shit. $319.33 today.
Inflation is fucked.
That's fucking crazy.
That's okay. So that's a lot.
$10.
And then kissed him goodbye.
Ew.
Yeah. Ew, why it's so gross. Big vibes.
It's not just gross. It's like so creepy to end it that way. Like, I'm going to leave you money and I'm going to give you a kiss goodbye. Like that.
It seems like he thinks that it's normal. It's like he doesn't.
But he does.
I know that he knows that it's wrong. I know he knows. But like, he acts like it's not. Very manipulative. Very emotionally immature. Low vibes. Big yuck. I hate that. So at this time, he is still married with the 6 kids. But Anna starts to catch on. And she's like,
you think?
The hell are you doing out there?
Right.
So in 1912, this is just 2 years later, they've been married for 6 years total. She divorces Albert. Divorce is not common. It is not acceptable. And it's extremely hard, like you said before, for women to, be able to support themselves. So you have to know that this was a bad situation. And she was seeing things that maybe we don't really know about.
Right.
And that she didn't report. Maybe it was embarrassing for her to even think about him doing certain things or like him asking her to do certain things, like in bed maybe.
Oh, and she's like, oh, dude, you're fucked. That's a good point. I never thought about it that way, but that's true.
I'm trying to think from her perspective because like even when I got divorced, there was shame piled onto me. And that was in 2018, 2019. Yeah. So I'd hate to think about being in the early 1900s and having to deal with the backlash from not only the church, because I feel like, whether or not she was a churchgoer, that was a church-centered community that they were in. So like, it was just gonna be bad.
That's what I was going to ask, because I can't remember if we know if they were like, quote unquote, religious people, and they went and, were part of the church community and things like that. I don't remember ever hearing that when I first heard about this case.
I did not see anything about him being religious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see right now. I'm trying to figure out if she... Oh, stop. I was so wrong.
You were?
Fish was described as a religious fanatic who attempted to justify his horrendous actions through scripture.
Nuh-uh. I never heard that.
Hold on. This is okay, I'm quoting AIAFS.com. It's an article on behavioral health, the psychology of Albert Fish. I read over this, but I may have missed that part.
There's so much, and so many people have covered Albert Fish that I don't remember hearing that. That's crazy. We literally are covering this case, guys, because we knew that it was the Catholic Church. And so that was kind of a pinpoint of his deviant awakening. And so that was at the hands of the Catholic Church. That's the whole reason we were coming up. We had no idea that he was a religious fanatic.
Yeah. His horrendous actions he would justify through Bible scripture. He believes that God ordered him to torment and castrate little boys.
How? What?
There's nothing about what scripture he's trying to quote exactly that is justifying that. So, and you know what? As somebody that grew up in the Church of Christ, I know scripture like the back of my hand. I could quote you a lot of it right now, but I don't remember anything that could possibly equate to that besides maybe circumcisions, but not castration.
I was just about to say the story of what was the king that told the guy to go bring him what was it, 64 foreskins?
A bunch of it was 200 foreskins.
Oh my God, 200 foreskins.
Yeah, it was 200. So yeah, and I still don't know what he did with any of the foreskins. Did you keep them in a box? Did you eat them? Did you shove them up your butt? I've got to stop asking those questions.
I know, right? Well, my question is, and this is the hard part, because I've always been taught that the Bible is literal, and you read it literally, it is the word of God, it is the inerrant, blah, blah. I don't believe that anymore. But even with the perspective of the Bible isn't literal and that it's literature, and so if we take it in a literal way, then we're missing a lot of the beauty that the Bible has for us. I'm okay, I can't. What was another meaning for that story? What was the message behind the message of go collect me some foreskins? I can't why?
407 years ago, 400 penis tips. The penis tips. That's my new theme song.
It's gonna be our intro. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. So he was a religious fanatic.
Yeah. And he justified it with scripture that he never exactly quoted, it doesn't seem.
So where are we?
Here's the thing. She left him.
Yes. Okay. She left him.
Anna left him, but she left him with the kids. She wanted a new life set apart from this. There was said to be infidelity on her part, perhaps. And that's also why she was more okay with putting him away. With divorcing him, because she had something else to go to.
Oh, man.
I don't have a confirmed report of infidelity on Anna, but you know what, girl? If he subjected you to gross things in bed, hey, I've been there. I've been there too. So,
sorry.
And if you had to get out, I got you.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm I feel
how do you leave your kids? Sorry.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, my first thought was okay, it's the 1800s, or now early 1900s, right? So I can understand she doesn't have a way to provide for him. But if she had a guy on the side and she was going to somebody else, she did have a way to provide. So that's kind of fun.
I wish I had more of her version of the story and more of her testimony on it, all of this, because it's just Albert's word against hers. I mean, this all could be wrong. He could have said, I'll kill you if you take my kids. And she just said, have them. I can't do this with you.
And she could have had just feelings and not any, actual facts of anything that he's done.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm probably going to spoiler something for you, but he'd never hurt his children, right?
No, I was just about to get into that.
Yeah, so he didn't hurt his children. So I could see like if she was like, okay, I'm just crazy, but I also don't love him. So like, I gotta go. Like,
yeah, I mean, he was reported to be a good father, even in the days where he had confessed to his crimes. His kids, when they were questioned about all of this, even as adults, they recounted a good childhood with him. He never laid a hand on them. He never touched them inappropriately. I mean, unless they're just like all disassociating and covering that in their mind, I believe them, because a lot of them were heartbroken about his, being
the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were very upset to hear all this, and I think it threw a lot of them off guard. So, obviously, after she left, he was deeply hurt. This is probably his first love that's a girl,
Mm-hmm.
The mother of his
married
kids
for a long time.
6 years, like they'd built a life and everything. So this kind of stripped away a lot of normalcy for him, which he didn't have a lot of in the beginning of his life. So he began eating raw meat.
Oh, God.
Some reports say that he did feed his kids raw meat. I think maybe he said if you want to, but I don't think he forced them to, because their accounts of it are like, he never made us do anything kind of thing. Like, it wasn't an abusive kind of thing. So I have a feeling that he ate raw meat and he said, if you guys want to eat it, you can too, kind of thing.
And they were like, Dad, you're fucking crazy. I'm not using that.
I think so. He also began to stab himself in the testicles with big needles. And later on an x-ray, they had discovered 29 needles that were completely shoved up inside his anus and scrotum.
No.
That whole area. Yeah.
No.
29? What are you doing, boy?
My butt's puckered again. Yep. Why?
It's hard to actually hurt yourself, even if you want to hurt yourself. Because like your body instinctively fights that whole, like your body wants to survive. So I'm just thinking the amount of pressure or like, I guess, motivation that had to go into actually shoving them completely up inside of himself. It was
29. They found 29.
29.
In between his scrotum and his anus in that small area.
All in that area. Yeah.
Like testicle, what is that?
For
the taint,
sure.
The butthole, everything.
The taint,
like,
yes.
I'm
assuming.
29.
I still don't really understand scrotum.
Is that your ball sack?
Is that what it is? I mean, we're learning so much today, guys. I was about to call my boyfriend in here and be like, is a scrotum your ball sack?
What is a scrotum? Nobody.
Penis, taint, balls.
Scrotum is the ball sack. Yep. It's the back of the ball.
Oh my God.
I think it's
in his balls?
That's even worse. So they were just floating around there.
I wonder if he ever tried to castrate himself.
He's shoving needles in his anus, his taint, and his scrotum.
He was trying to castrate other people. I just wonder if he did it to himself. So moving on. Sorry. So they were most likely there for years, these needles. So jot that down. He would also play games with his children, but like the games would be like, they would be like a simple game, like maybe a trivia game or something. And if he got the question wrong or something, he would want them to spank him or hurt him. You could technically call that abuse.
Yes. Because
emotional abuse.
He has a sexual gratification from this. And his kids are playing part in that.
Yeah. I don't think any of them were aware of this. But still, it is an issue. I take issue with it as well. I think, because one of his daughters, I think, was quoted saying, like, he used to play games with us and we didn't really get the point of it, but we were so little, we just didn't really think anything of it. We thought it was silly when he'd say, like, hit me with this thing or whatever.
Right.
And I think maybe the way he portrayed it to them, it was like, this is so silly kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they understood what was going on.
But I'm going to bring this to religious trauma and make a reference of, so like when we're taught stuff growing up that like, this is what you do, X, Y, Z. And we're like, okay, this is what we do because this is what we're told. We didn't realize how traumatic those beliefs were until
later.
We got out later in life and we were like, oh my God, okay, that affected me this way and this way and this way. That's exactly what's happening with these poor children because they did not understand it in the moment. They were not abused themselves physically or sexually. But now as adults, they have to sit with the fact that they partook in physically hurting their father in order for him to achieve sexual gratification. So they, in a way, got their father off.
Yes.
That's
abuse.
That's abuse. And that's
disgusting.
Trauma I can't even fucking fathom.
So they weren't tortured, but they were traumatized in a different way.
Yeah.
Which could be debatably worse.
Oh, God.
So as a single father, he starts to like work out more, but also while he's doing this, he's creating torture tools.
Ew.
Like little hellish kind of tools.
Are these for himself or others?
These are to be used on others for torture.
Okay.
So like, if anyone watches Stranger Things, you know the weapons that they make to hurt the Demogorgon with the like Steve with the nails and the bat and leather strap things and stuff.
Yes.
All of that is kind of, think of that's happening with Albert at this point. He's creating tools such as this.
That's Albert Fish's arsenal.
Yes.
No.
So he's like creating these kind of things. Also, so he's kind of in his later 40s, I think. He's not quite 50. He starts looking in paper ads for these women again.
Okay.
Like, he's back on his bullshit with the letters, pretty much. But now he actually is looking for a match in this whole thing. But now he's literally telling these women, I want to torture and rape kids.
He says that in the letters?
Yeah.
So he's actively trying to find a wife while also like sexually harassing women through letters and also confessing to want to torture and rape children. What a fucking letter to get.
Gross. But get this, he ends up getting married again.
Oh, God. Who?
Oh, yeah.
Does he marry?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I got her name, actually. He ended up marrying again near 1915 and starts getting more painting jobs. Like he's getting a little more successful with his career. So he's commissioned by the Second Presbyterian Church in, I can't say it right, I think it's Chapake, New York.
Okay, that sounds right.
I think that's how you say it. To paint murals on the church ceiling. So he's doing his whole like...
Okay, he's not just like painting.
No, he's like an artist, apparently.
Okay, then he is nothing like my husband because my husband just paints. He's an artist, but he doesn't paint murals. So it's totally different. We have nothing in common. I think he might
have started as just like painting outside and inside of houses.
Don't tell me that.
He went creative. It's fine. I want to know what he created though. So
I know, right?
Oh, yeah. This is the part where I did have it in here in my notes. I'm just crazy.
Look at you.
So, he believed, so he's painting angels because it's very like church-esque, little cherubs and things.
It's a Presbyterian church that he's painting the murals at, right? Yeah.
Okay. His second wife left him shortly after they were married. But this one sent him over the edge a bit because he started to believe that the angels he painted were urging him to commit crimes in the name of St. John. So he thought that John was telling him to commit crimes, and then he was using scripture to justify it. So he thought that it was a calling in the name of God and that I have to do this. This is my service to the Lord in some ways.
Okay. I wonder if he did that. It was his way of justifying the evil things in him.
I think so.
And make himself feel better about it.
Either
he still knew it was wrong.
I've got two theories on this. Either this is hallucinogenic from his mother's side and it's starting to form because his mother was around 40 when it I believe she was around 40 when all of her hallucinations started to surface. So I think maybe there was a connection there with like onset mental illness, or he used it with his insanity plea and like this was made up.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know any of this until he confessed.
Okay.
We didn't know any of this information until later on.
I'm going to say it was not mental illness because I know a lot of those mental illnesses do pop up when you're younger, especially when you're hearing voices. It's usually in your early 20s or mid 20s that they pop up. And if I'm doing the math correctly, his mom, if you said there was a 43-ish year difference between her and her husband and the dad died at 75, then she would have only been
30 or something.
Yeah.
Late 20s, yeah.
Which is right. It's in your 20s that stuff pops up, that you start to have manic episodes. And so he was already 19, 16. So he was 46 at this point. So that's way, way later than his mom. So I'm going to guess that it wasn't a mental illness. In my opinion,
think it was a lie?
I think it was a lie, and it was truth to him.
Yeah.
In order to make himself feel better about what he did.
Kind of lying to yourself and creating your own truth. That's not tangible and realistic truth.
Yeah. It's like brainwashing himself. Saying it over and over again makes him believe that.
Yeah. Compulsive liar, pretty much. So,
yeah.
Okay. So in 1924, he's around 54 years old and he's presenting himself as a nice granddad. He's all polite and he looks harmless, pretty much. She's welcoming. What? 1924.
Oh, God. Yeah. Okay.
So he's around 54 at this time.
Okay.
So around this time, he's living in Staten Island, New York, or on the outskirts. And there's an 8-year-old boy named Francis that's playing on his porch. And Albert is just hobbling by and he's muttering to himself and things of that nature. His mother saw,
Francis's
old
mom.
man over there.
Yeah.
Old man. Take an account, Later, this boy doesn't come home from playing ball and going to school and stuff. And so his mom is like, where the fuck is my kid? So, she remembers Albert and she's like, I don't know if that's relevant, but okay, let's see.
But she made note of it.
She made note of it. So, oh God, this is gross. Yep. I'm fine.
I know where this goes. So, I'm sorry. Oh.
Albert at a later time confessed to this, but he was never caught for this. And I don't believe that he was tried for this. But later on, someone did find Francis in the woods nearby. He was strung up by the suspenders on his overalls.
Oh, God.
And he was sexually assaulted, strangled, mutilated, and the back of his thigh was completely stripped away.
Oh.
Just one of his thighs.
And he was 6?
He's 8, I believe.
8. Oh, my God.
That's what I read, that he was around 8. So, yeah, he was never caught.
Oh.
Unfortunately, poor Francis, I tell you.
Take me out. Kill me.
Take me out now.
I wouldn't, as a mother, if that was my children, as I would want to be present for my other children, but I can't imagine having to live with that trauma, knowing that that's
horrendous. There's no dignity. There was no respect for that child. I just hate to think of the fear that was going through that kid's head. That's the part that really guts me.
As an ex-Christian, and even when I was deconstructing and I still identified as a Christian, I stopped believing in hell. And that sometimes is really hard for me to not believe in hell because I want hell to exist for a very select few people.
I also think of
and
that
Albert
too.
Fish is one of them. He can burn for eternity. Sure. Yeah, I support that 1,000%.
Yeah.
No redemption.
I feel similarly in a lot of ways. And it makes me sometimes have to eat my words with the whole, I don't believe that evil people are a thing. But sometimes things like this make me doubt myself in that way. Okay, he was never caught for this, but he did get a nickname, a new one. Jot that down. In the paper, he was called the Gray Man because he was just a gray old little man kind of thing.
Gray Man. Oh my gosh. During this time, like when that little boy, they didn't know who killed him, they nicknamed him the Gray Man.
Yeah.
Because they were, okay, so they were trying to find him, so they nicknamed him Gray Man.
They were trying to find who this was, and all she could describe is it was a gray man, gray little old man. So,
and I'm sure everybody was like, she's not seeing right. Like, what old man could do this, you know? Like,
I think, they probably were kind of like, circumstantial, not quite the vibe because you didn't see them interact or anything.
Right.
So, it didn't compute. But what do I know? His next killing that was reported was Billy. Billy and his friend were playing on the roof, and I don't know why he didn't take both of them, but I'm assuming Billy was maybe smaller because he kidnapped
50
Billy.
Something. Okay, and he's 50 something, so it's easier to take one than two.
That is true. Yeah.
It's easier to hold one mouth shut than have to.
Oh, very true.
Two.
Especially if they're kicking and fighting, which I'm sure that Billy was. So the searches begin. And they're like, what happened with Billy? And his friend says, the Boogey Man took him. Here's another nickname, the Boogey Man.
Oh my gosh, the Gray Man, the Boogey Man. Oh.
Yeah. So they can't find him. He was never found.
Never found.
Which is so hard. Albert eventually did say, oh my God, this was the worst one for me. It makes me...
I'm remembering now what he did with that little boy, and I'm like, wow.
It's hard for me to say, but I need to say it. We need to talk about it because we need to talk about what happened to Billy and that Billy didn't deserve this. So Billy, unfortunately, was taken to a dump and he was stripped naked, gagged. His clothes and shoes were burned. And Billy was 4. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but Billy was only 4 years old. So Albert left him at the dump for 4 days, I think. No, 2 days. So sorry. Yeah, he went home to get his torture tools and stuff. He came back a little bit later and brought what's called a cat o' nine tail.
Cat of nine tails.
Cat of nine tails or something. Yeah, but he could only make 6 tails apparently, so it wasn't true. I don't know.
6.
I don't know what was happening with that, but he whipped Billy. He cut off.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. He left Billy at the dump, went home. Okay, hold on. He took Billy to the dump, stripped him, beat him, raped him, all of that. Left him there.
Burned his clothes.
Burned his clothes. Went home, got him all his little torture shit. And then you said went back 2 days later?
It was either 2 days or 1 day later.
But he was alive.
But yeah. He was alive. He was.
In the dump. He was alive.
In the dump. I want to give him a kiss. I want to hold him. I'm so sorry, Billy.
Oh my God, this poor kid. Okay, so he goes back.
He whips Billy. He cuts off his ears and nose and gouges out his eyes and then slits his mouth ear to ear, and Billy died there.
Oh.
But he wasn't done with Billy. No, Albert couldn't be done with Billy. He takes Billy's face, his belly, his genitals, and his bum to eat and discards the rest of his body
he didn't.
On a beach.
Hold on. He took the body out of the dump.
Mm-hmm.
It's already in a dump to discard it on a beach. That don't make no fucking sense.
I don't know what that was either. I'm thinking maybe logistically after he cut up the body that he took it to another place to cut it up because he knew he was going to eat it. I think he took it home. And then maybe nearby his home.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Because he's in Staten Island. So I'm assuming maybe he lives semi-close to a beach. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I wish he would have just cut it up in the dump and then the meat would have, the body, not meat, it was a boy.
Billy.
The boy's flesh, Billy, would have gotten some kind of toxic disease
like
from the
tasted
dump.
really horrible too, and like
and Albert died
giving him a
from
horrible
it.
disease. Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible, slow death disease kind of thing.
No, because he would have enjoyed that.
Never mind. I hate
God
everything.
Damn it. I hate this guy.
We can't win with him.
You can't. This is why I want to believe in hell.
I just want to say one last thing about it. He ate Billy over a period of 4 days.
Ew.
And so, like I said, he got the nickname the Boogey Man from Billy's friend who was trying to describe the person that took Billy. I'm assuming this kid was also around maybe 4 or 5 and didn't know exactly how to describe
somebody. Yeah.
He just knew that was scary. And someone took my friend. And I tell you.
This guy.
God rest Billy's soul. Okay, so yeah, he keeps killing pretty constantly, apparently. But like,
he's not getting caught, so
that's the
why
thing.
Not?
He's just so like not alarming looking. You know, the whole stranger danger thing.
Yeah,
it didn't compute here. So
no, he's this frail old man. Oh, it's a cute old man. No,
and
stay
he's
away.
just he was so sweet. I think too, like in his demeanor. I think he was a little bit not charming, but just like sweet to people at first. So, okay, in his 60s, he plans to get an 18-year-old named Edward. He put out an ad in the paper pretending to be a farmer, and he's offering a job that pays like $15 a week, room and board. Like, this is a sweet gig.
I thought you were about to say $15 an hour, and I was like, fuck.
No, but
okay,
given that $10 an hour is now $300 in today's money.
So 15's like $500-something a week.
At least.
So that's like, that would be what, $2,000-ish a month? So
yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
And if room and board is covered, that like you have hit the jackpot on that job. Shit.
So when he puts in this ad, he doesn't put his name. He puts Frank instead of Albert. So, but I think he keeps the last name. I think it's Frank Fish. So yeah, he puts that out. And this 18-year-old Edward, he responds to the ad and he gets hired. So Albert is going to Edward's house and he brings, gifts from his fake farm. So he brings like cheese and strawberries and all that stuff that you would encounter on a farm. He's trying to sell this thing hardcore.
And he literally just like picked it up from a farmer's market.
I think so, yeah. He picked it up from another farmer who probably actually did need a farmhand and would have paid, maybe not that much, but would have paid, some money. So yeah, the family was charmed, and asked him, why don't you stay for a while and eat dinner and all that. So while he's staying, Albert actually meets Edward's little sister, Grace. And she, she's very tiny and she's so cute. And she liked Albert. She sat in his lap and she was like talking with him and like they were making each other laugh, and they just got along kind of thing. So
I don't like this.
He, where it's going. He decides,
where it's going.
You know what? She's so much easier to target than Edward. This is the one I'm going to go with kind of thing. So he goes away and then he's like, I'm going to come back and get Edward. I don't know how much time had passed. Maybe it's just a day or so. He's like, I'm going to come back tomorrow and get him early. And, we'll go back to the farm and stuff and whatever. So he comes back the next day. And so he's talking with them. He's hanging out with them a little bit. And then he's like, you know what? I actually have to go. I forgot I have my niece's birthday party. Do you mind if I go to that? And then I'll come back and get Edward this evening and then go to the farm. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. That works for us. So then he, like, before leaving, he just, like, I feel like this was so scripted for him.
Probably
but he's
was.
just like, wait a second. My niece is around your age, Grace. Grace, would you like to come with me? I think you'd really like it. He's
danger,
so gross.
Will Robinson, danger.
He is so gross.
Run. Oh my God.
And she, oh my God, you know, like little girls, they get so excited about going to a birthday party. I mean, why not? You know? So
and
she's
she was
like,
how old?
I think she was 5. I think she was 5. I mean, she was
tiny. Like,
she was younger.
Little, yeah.
You could probably find her age. I don't think I put it in here though.
Okay.
But she was younger. I mean, she's very unsuspecting. She was, I would bet a great percentage that's around 5. Yeah. So she's small. She's also anemic. So like she gets weak kind of easy. So that's another thing. So it makes her a little bit more of a target for being so vulnerable.
Grace Budd, she was 10 years old.
Was she 10? Okay.
She was 10.
Well, oh God, I hate this. I hate this.
I know.
Okay. So he's like, okay, we're going to go to the birthday party. When it's done, you know, I'll come back. I think he said at like 8 or 9 at night, he was going to come back. So 9 o'clock arrives. They're running a little bit late. No big deal. 10 o'clock. Okay, this is fine, I guess. It's okay. We'll just keep waiting. 11. I'm getting worried. 12. She's not home.
Ugh.
This is bad. So the panic sets in. Grace's mom is like, I mean, you know what you would be like when you lose your kids for like 5 seconds.
I would be
It's over.
Hysterical.
It's over.
I'm manic.
That's where she is. She's in that mindset of like, where is my baby kind of thing. So she gives like the name to the police and she's like, this is who she was last with. And they're like, I got no record of that guy in this state, in this wherever. I got nothing.
Can you imagine?
They're
the
just
mom being like,
shit
what?
out of luck.
Yeah.
So no one saw Grace again. The parents, you know, after Frank Howard, not Frank Fish. He changed it to Frank Howard. So it was part of his name. Yeah, it was part of his name.
Okay.
It was just not entirely truthful. So it kind of is going cold a little bit. They don't have any leads on this. So the media picks it up and a detective was assigned to the case named William Key.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to find a lead. He's trying to figure out what went wrong, but there's not much to go off of. So a report comes in. This is the pettiest shit. So like a report comes in from like, it's on a 66-year-old guy named Charles Pope. And they're pretty much trying to link him to the case because his wife set him up in a way.
I forgot about that.
She's so petty. Like,
this petty
listen,
bitch.
Pope's wife actually made up the entire thing about him being involved with Grace. He didn't commit any crime. Yeah.
Oh my
Great.
gosh.
Love that so much.
Crazy.
So that just also gives them like hope and then right back down. They think they're getting somewhere and then not. Albert is still out here killing and eating. He gets married for a 3rd time, but it is not the charm.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, who the heck is like, I want some of that. No, you don't.
How you keep pulling people? That's my thing.
Also, I would be terrified that in intercourse, he'd be stabbing me with some fucking needles.
Yeah, what if he tries to put needles up your JJ?
Not just that, he's got needles stuck in his fucking ball sack. He's gonna
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God. No, thank you. I don't think so. I bet he sucked in bed. Oh yeah, I bet he sucked.
I bet so.
Yeah, he met her through a matchmaking service, not his mother, because I'm pretty sure she was not alive anymore.
Yeah, I would think.
They were married for like a week. So you've got to know that something freaky happened on the honeymoon.
He was losing it, I'm guessing, as he got older, and he wasn't hiding it as well. And she was like, bitch, you are crazy. I'm gone. Like, can't.
Yeah.
Nope.
So thankfully she got out. I hope unharmed, you know.
Right.
But Albert, like, amid all of this chaos, he got arrested 2 more times, other than the whole tax fraud thing. 2 more times he was arrested for obscene letters that he was writing. So, like I said, this is a thing that he can't let go of. He's got to do this. He wrote under false names, but his handwriting was obvious. So it was like,
oh,
Albert, can you stop doing that?
Yeah,
kind of
we
thing.
know it's
so,
you dipshit.
Yeah. They ended up committing him to a hospital where they determined that he did know right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it is 1934 and Grace is still missing. It's 6 years later that she's still not found. Frank Howard, though, resurfaces suddenly.
No, he does not.
And he reaches out to Grace's family.
I forgot he did that.
Yeah, his letter writing has taken a new turn that's even darker than normal. So,
oh, you punk ass bitch.
Say more. So, he reaches out to Grace's family in a letter and includes every gory detail about Grace's death. He tells them about like the steam captain famine thing from years ago and went into like details about like when he met Grace and how he wanted to eat her and how he took her to an empty house, got naked, stripped her naked, strangled her, and then chopped her up and ate her over 9 days.
You guys can't see my face, but I'm literally just like shot on the floor.
She's got nothing.
This
is gutting.
His escalation of his sadisticness is just unmatched because it's like, why are you sending this letter to her parents other than you're getting gratification out of their pain?
That's the thing. Like all of the letters are to make people uncomfortable and inflict some sort of like pain or distress on them. So it's like he couldn't resist anymore. I think he knew eventually he was going to get caught too. So like, I think he just, with the way it all ends too, I think he wanted to be caught because he wanted to be killed. I think that was maybe like a plan in the back of his mind that he was hoping for.
Like his ultimate end goal.
Yeah.
And
because he knew the game's coming to an end. Like, I'm getting too old for this shit. I can't do this anymore. So,
yeah.
So one thing though, he didn't sexually assault Grace. Which was new for his whole game because everybody else he did.
Okay, but I'm just making this connection. This is the first female.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows what to do with the vagina.
Not at all.
So he's like,
That's probably why.
But he gets off on the torture and...
Here's the good news. I've got some gospel for us here.
Okay, here we go.
With the letter that he wrote to Grace's family and with the other letters that he, harassed other women with, they all brought it back together. But it said Frank Howard. And they were like...
Who the fuck is Frank Howard?
Is this a different Are you the same person? I don't know anymore. So Albert's landlady actually reached out to police and said, hey, I'm holding on to a letter for him and stuff like that. So here you go. And they were able to figure out through that letter that like, oh, you're the same person. No wonder the handwriting matches. We got him. The game's afoot. Just kidding. It's solved. So at 65 years old, he should have been retiring. He should have been a normal old man. But no, he got arrested.
And he is only arrested right now for the kidnapping / possible murder.
Just over Grace. It's just over Grace. They don't know anything else.
They don't know the Pandora's box they are about to open.
No, they don't even. I mean, can you imagine going into work that day? You're like, okay, all right, we got a guy. Okay, he's confessed to it. We got him. It's all good. We solved the case. We'll find where she is. We'll give her proper burial. No.
Yep.
When he sits down, he just immediately cracks and says, he confessed to 15 murders. He says, I've at least done probably 100 disfigurements and I've molested about 400 children.
I can't believe that number.
I don't either.
I think that's the side of me that's like, there's no way. But like, truth is stranger than fiction. And it could be true. But I don't want to believe it's true.
It seems like it's a large number, especially like he was acting on, he was doing all of these things for decades. So I guess, I feel like the bulk of it happened when he was a house painter. For some reason, like little kids. I'm thinking little kids and the disabled. I'm thinking the majority of it happened then. And when he got older, it just became more gruesome versus like, it was quality over quantity for him. I hate that I just said that, but I really think that's what happened. Because, like, with age, obviously, he's got a hard labor job. His body's getting worn out. He can't physically do a lot of the things that maybe he did when he was younger.
And I'm wondering if he was so hyperbolic of, and inflating his numbers so that he was, like, for sure going to get the death penalty.
That's true, yeah.
So he could just, like, that was his ultimate goal. I wonder.
Yeah, because I don't think he was doing this for clout. Like, some serial killers would want to be that face and have that nickname and be like, you're gonna remember me. But I don't think he wanted that. It was really sexual pleasure at the end of the day. It was pain for himself and for others to bring sexual gratification. I feel like that was the whole end goal for anything that he did.
He is a fucked up human.
I agree. Mm-hmm. He said that, he gave Grace's bones whereabouts. That was it. He gave the whereabouts, and they were able to confirm with dental records, this is Grace.
That it was Grace.
They did find Grace's bones, and they were able to lay her to rest properly. So that is some good news. It's bad and good. It gives closure to that family, of course, and lays her to rest in a respectful manner like she deserves. But it was unnecessary. At his trial, he was only tried for Grace's death. And this became a public affair to remember. He got a new nickname. He actually got a couple more. He got the Brooklyn Vampire for his cannibalism. He got Moon Maniac because apparently he ate raw meat, especially when a full moon was present.
Oh my God, he's so weird.
I don't know how that came up in conversation for them.
Also, the vampire doesn't make sense because vampires drink blood. They're not.
I know. I'm thinking
cannibals.
He did drink the blood of his victims too before eating the flesh.
I'm not going to be able to have
these words are leaving in my mouth.
I know, right?
And then he was called Werewolf of Wysteria. The same thing with the raw meat and the full moon thing.
I have heard that one. I forgot about that nickname.
I feel like that's such a stretch. Like these last three nicknames, I'm like, I don't get it.
But the papers back then were so hyperbolic. Like,
they had to fudge it up for sure. They had to fudge it up.
Yeah, they did. Oh, they exploited and blew everything out of the waters.
For sure.
It's crazy.
So his defense attorney claimed that Albert was not responsible for the acts that he did because, remember back years ago when he was in that psych facility they committed him to?
Yeah.
They had determined, he's all good. So the defense was blaming that facility for allowing him to leave and giving an improper diagnosis because when he left there, he committed several heinous acts kind of thing. So they tried to go with that.
Nice try. That's a stretch.
That did not work out though at all. He knew right from wrong. I mean, his children were questioned. They claimed, obviously, they were never abused or sexually assaulted. This ties back into the full moon, moon maniac werewolf thing. Some of his kids reported they saw their father naked, calling himself Christ, and eating raw meat on the full moon. They also did find his some of his torture devices.
Oh God, I can't. I don't. I don't want to be that cop who was like, "What is this box?" Oh, shit.
I mean, really?
I hope I didn't. I wish I didn't open that.
Yeah, his trial was about 10 days. He was convicted and sentenced to death at the age of 66. That was in 1936. This case is almost 100 years old. It's climbing.
Oh my gosh. It is. Yeah, it's very close to that.
In age.
That's crazy.
Albert said that he was very excited to experience death, calling it the supreme thrill to die by electric chair.
See? We gave him what he wanted.
They really did. I mean, there was no way to actually punish this man, I don't think, because he had turned punishment into pleasure no matter what that meant for him.
Like maybe sticking him in like a rubber room where he like literally cannot hurt himself and then just play the song over and over and over again, like all day and all night. Like, this is the song that never ends. Yeah.
Yes. at the execution, he actually asked if he would be conscious when electrocuted so that he could savor the pain. And that,
Ew.
my friends, is the grossest story I have encountered thus far.
Oh.
I'm sure there will be more. But yes, that's Albert Fish.
Did they have like, do we know if they had anesthesia back then? Because I'd have been like, no, bitch, I'm going to put you under. Like, you ain't going to feel none of this.
That's a good question. I don't think the state would have paid for that, though.
I would have. If I was like Grace Bud's mom, I'd been like, I'll pay for it. I want this bitch to get no satisfaction from his death. Like, that's just... And I do want to say also, though, like, I do think he was mentally ill. Mm-hmm. And I think because of his trauma mixed with his mental illness led him to be and do what he is.
I think it all started back at the orphanage.
Yeah, those damn Catholic
I think it started
nuns
with
fucked him up.
The whole social structure that was normalized
mm-hmm.
in a religious environment.
In that, like, corporal punishment being the standard of child rearing.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about mental illness is not an excuse or like
not.
To cause harm on other people. And not all people who have mental illness are evil people. And not all people who are evil have mental illness. Now, it is different when you have like a manic episode and you're in that manic episode. Now, that committing crimes in a manic episode, you literally are not in your right mind. You don't remember it. You don't have consciousness of like what is going on, and you can commit some heinous crimes, but it's technically not you, you know? So like, but that's not what's happening here.
But even in manic episodes, a lot of people in manic episodes do bleach their hair and they paint something weird or they buy a bunch of stuff, you know, like
it's a spectrum.
I would say a very small percentage
get
violent.
Agreed.
Normally, if there's any indication of violence, if they're being treated by a mental health professional, they are...
It can be caught, yeah.
Yeah, it can be caught, and they can definitely create a treatment plan to help them to curb all of those violent urges.
And the cases that I'm thinking of is a lot of those stages were either missed or the patient neglected, like the treatment plan.
That's the thing. It's so much hard work too.
It is.
Yeah. You know, mental illness. It's the same kind of rigorous stuff that you do if you're physically ill. You got to take your medicine. You got to make sure your environment's right. It's just a bunch of different things that factor into it. And it takes a lot of work. And sometimes that's even harder to do when you're mentally ill versus physically, you know? We're running late on this episode.
We are. This is a longer one. Sorry, not sorry. But also, like...
I'm glad I got all that in. I hope all of it was accurate. If I got anything wrong, someone's going to let me know, I'm sure. But
yeah, I'm sure. They will let us know. And also, like, just go listen to the 4-part series on Morbid. And you can get all the nitty-gritty details if you want.
Do your own research on it if you want to know more, if you want to know a better, like, timeline or something in greater detail.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts, what you think about it, what you think about how religion maybe, like, played into this.
Yeah.
Are we wrong about that? I mean...
I think we have a very good theory on it.
You have one of those paper chains behind you.
I do.
I haven't seen one of those since I was in kindergarten.
I had to take this like really gross medicine and I was like complaining about it. So my daughter made me a paper chain to like break off every time I took the medicine so I could count down how many times I had to take it. And then I started tolerating the medicine a lot more. And so I forgot to rip off the rest of the days. And so it's just been hanging there.
That is such a sweet, what a good way to end the episode. That is such a sweet thing.
I know. There we go. There's our
We're always going to end on a happy note.
I was going to say, there's our palate cleanser.
That's good.
There's our
if you flail to pan, you that one.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I'm not as think as you drunk I am.
Yes. Okay, to end it, we do have an Instagram finally. It took me like 4 days to get our Instagram because Instagram was being rude and not letting me register, and it finally did.
Ain't that just the way?
So it's Deadly Faith Podcast. So just find us on Instagram at Deadly Faith Podcast. And so you can see, like, we'll post images of, Albert Fish in each episode and put your comments there. Let us know what you think, or you can shoot us an email at deadlyfaithpodcast@gmail.com. And that is all for today. We will see you guys next week with another absolutely crazy When Religion and Crime Collide episode. I can't talk.
It's a long night. Thank you, heathens. We love you. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.
Also, heathens, if you're enjoying the show so far, please remember to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to us on. And remember to bring your sacrifice to the blood ritual. Just kidding, a review will suffice. Deadly Faith is brought to you by Choircast Network. It's produced by Laci Bean and Lola Robbins and audio engineered by Eric Howell. Thanks for listening.